All right, so I'm sure you guys have all been there. You have this gigantic event planned. For us, it's this big back to school outreach event. Bring your friends, come hang out, giveaways, all kinds of stuff, right? So we've been planning this thing, promoting it for many weeks, and really cool back to school kickoff, right? And for all of us, pretty much back to school looks a lot different this year. So students are really looking forward to a back to school thing right now. But we had it planned, been promoting it, got it all ready. And just this weekend, we got weather updates saying that it's supposed to be super cold and most likely going to be raining it all day, if not into the evening. So obviously, we have met and we have decided that we're going to go ahead and just cancel the thing, right? So, because first of all, right now it's like in the 80s, 90s, probably like 90s most days here, and it's supposed to significantly drop down into the 50s on Wednesday. Okay, so even if it doesn't rain, it's still not a good idea for us to do our slip and slide, paint war, all this stuff outside, kids getting drenched with water, all this stuff. So not a good idea to do that. So we have gone ahead and just said, time out. We're going to go ahead and cancel this thing. Okay. So a couple of things. One, I think it's really wise to just continue to keep a good tab on weather, especially if you're living in cities where weather is a big issue, right? And so I did youth ministry down in San Diego for many years, and I did ministry in Orange County, California, and so weather was just really not a huge deal in those areas. We could pretty much do outdoor stuff whenever we wanted. But then I moved to like Lancaster, California, and it was super windy like all the time. And weather, there was snow days, some days it was over 100. And so we had to watch the weather much more. Now in Oklahoma, we really got to watch the weather because we have tornadoes, we have snow, we have hot days, we have just random rain days, all this kind of stuff. And so when you live in areas where there is weather, you have to be aware of the weather and always, always, always have plan Bs ready to go. Now, in this case, we were doing 2 weeks of back-to-back weeks of back to school bashes. Okay, so the first one is this slip and slide paint wars, which was supposed to be this Wednesday, and the following was a car smash. We're going to bring in cars and smash them, right? So the first thing we talked about was, do we just switch those and do a car smash, all that kind of stuff. And so we could have done that, but I just felt like it was too high of risk that even if it's cold and it had rained that morning, we could do the car smash because we could just bring out some fire pits, to people warm, people just wear jackets, that kind of thing. We could do the car smash, no problem. But it was way too big of a risk if it's actually raining Wednesday night. And so I felt like just too high of a risk for us to bring a car in, get all that work here. And in our church parking lot, we can't just leave a junky car for like 2 weeks as we wait for this thing to happen, right? Our parking lot's just not big enough for that. And so we had to say, no, we're going to adjust. We're going to go with plan B. So here's the thing. Our plan B was really simple to make because we were well planned. We've got all of our sermons planned, mapped out, pretty tightly wrapped up through the end of the year, which is the next 3-4 months. Okay. So for us, we talked, and we said, hey, we're gonna scrap it. We're gonna go ahead and start our series. We're gonna do part 1 of our series. And we have those testimony videos. So the sermons that we're doing every night has a student testimony with it. We've already pre-recorded those testimonies. So it's a 4-week series. We have 4 of those videos already recorded. So we know. So when we went through, here's another thing. We went through and we said, okay, the week 1 video is supposed to be one of our students that's going to be out of town this week. So again, that was our plan B. We got to go to plan B of plan B. And we said, okay, it's really smart for us to show the video of a student giving a testimony who's out of town. They're not going to be there. So we went ahead and mixed it up even more. And we said, okay, let's do week 3 of the series as week 1. just obviously rewrite kind of the intro into it, that kind of thing, and show the video of the student testimony of a girl who is actually going to be there that evening. Okay. So again, all of this is possible because we're well planned ahead. Now, I just downloaded Carey Nieuwhof's questions for sermon prep. And in there, he talks about the fact that great ideas take time to marinate and to come together. Bad ideas come quickly, but great ideas take time to develop. And so what he talked about is that you want to be way ahead so that your mind, your subconscious, your prayer life can be diving into these concepts way ahead of time. And I've talked about it on these videos. Map out your sermons ahead of time. Get those series out there. Even if you preach through a book of the Bible, that's even better, right? You know where you're going to be for months and months and months ahead, and you can be praying into it, reading into it. Create. For example, I was able to share with our leaders, our volunteer leaders, the sermon that I was going to be speaking on over a week ahead of time. I said, "Hey man, here's where we're going. Here's some of my key points in our group meet chat." And one of the leaders messaged me back and said, "Hey, have you watched this video? Have you heard of this study?" And I said, "I haven't heard of that one. I've heard of things like it." And so I watched the video. I talked to her about it, and we used it. And I'm going to tell you, that was the single greatest point that people reconnected with, was that thing that she talked about, that she brought up to me. I wasn't going to show it. I wasn't even going to mention it. But when I was talking about what I was going to talk about, she brought it up and said, "Hey, this is what it means to me." And so when you're planned out ahead like that, you can call audibles. You can go to plan B. You also get people involved in helping you. Last Wednesday night, I spoke. I shared that video. I shared some of the illustrations that she talked about, she mentioned. And when we broke into small groups, all of them went back to that story and said, "Man, that was powerful. That was a big deal." And when our leaders dove into it, that was really the thing that cemented the idea that I was trying to get across to them about their words. And so that wasn't even an idea I had. Again, when you have it open, you have people speaking into it, you get a collection of ideas that are marinating, that are coming together. And it's not just the first thought that you have about something, but it's something that you can dive into for weeks and months. And so I want to encourage you guys, man, if we didn't have this series written out, we would be scrambling right now, scrambling. But because we were ahead, we already had the student testimony recorded. We knew what the series was going to be about. We had all those weeks mapped out, what we're going to be talking about, when we're going to be talking about, who was going to be talking and speaking. And so simply we looked and we said, okay, hey, these are the best. This is the best week. This is the best message for this week because of who was speaking, the topic, the speaker, all those kinds of things. It made us call that audible in a second. No problem. We were able to do it super fast. And we're able to do it with great success. We already have our promo material for that series made out. So now all of a sudden, our social media volunteers are just going to be pushing that out. Say, hey, postponing because of weather. And they're already pushing out the promo for that series that we already had available. And so I'm just telling you guys, you want to be ahead. You want to be thinking down the line as to what's going on so you can call these audibles and it's not a last minute scramble to figure out what you're doing. Okay. Now, we were able to do that because, again, we were mapped out, we were planned. There's also times where I get it. You can't call audibles as easily, but in this case, we were able to look ahead. Now it's Tuesday and it's tomorrow night is the call. We hadn't just made it. We said we're not going to mess with it. We don't want to wait until Wednesday afternoon. We've got the slip and slide out and call, or we've already brought in these cars and have to call it then. No. Just go ahead and call it now. So what we did is we messaged all of our leaders. We said, hey, this is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. And here's what's going to happen. We're going to shift things a couple of weeks. And now all of them are immediately going into their group meets, text messages, calling students to say, hey, here's what's going on. This is what's going on, because the paint wars was going to require them coming dressed in some dirty, thrift store kind of clothes anyway. And so now, hey, you guys don't have to come in those. Come in regular clothes. and it's going to be super cold. So bring a jacket, right? And so again, you can just call these audibles, get the message out through social media, get the message out through text message, get the messaging out through group meets, get the message out through whatever and however you can as quickly as possible to make sure you're communicating to everybody what's happening. Okay. So be ready, be ready, be ready. Hopefully that's helpful, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you.